The distress beacon blinked on Roth's navigation screen like a dying heartbeat. 3 weeks old, faint, almost dead. Most pilots would have ignored it completely. Roth stared at the signal for a long moment, his fingers drumming against the control panel of his cargo hauler. Glacium 7. The ice planet had a reputation that made even experienced spacers nervous. Temperatures dropped to negative 150 degrees, constant blizzards that could tear ships apart. Atmosphere so thin it might as well not exist. Landing there was considered suicide. Rescue missions were death sentences. The beacon frequency told him everything he needed to know: Draconis military transport. The dragon-like warriors were legendary across the galaxy. Proud, strong, honorable to a fault. They did not send distress signals lightly. Roth checked his cargo manifest. Medical supplies for the colony on Haven's Rest, already 2 days behind schedule. The company would fine him heavily for any more delays. He could report the beacon to authorities and keep moving. That was the smart choice, the safe choice. He turned his ship toward Glacium 7. The descent through the planet's atmosphere tested every system on his vessel. Ice formed on the hull within seconds. The winds screamed against the metal frame. Visibility dropped to almost nothing as snow and frozen debris battered the viewports. Roth fought the controls with both hands, sweat freezing on his forehead despite the heated cabin. The crash site appeared through the blizzard like a wound in the ice. The Draconis transport had carved a massive trench through the frozen landscape before slamming into a canyon wall. The hull was split open in multiple places, exposed to the killing cold. No lights, no power signatures, just wreckage. Roth brought his ship down a kilometer away. Any closer and the unstable ice might collapse. He sat in the pilot seat for several heartbeats, looking at the temperature readout. Negative 143 degrees outside. His thermal suit was rated for negative 80, maybe negative 90 if he pushed it. He suited up anyway. The walk to the crash site took 40 minutes. Every step was a battle against wind that tried to knock him flat. Ice crystals cut through the air like tiny knives. His suit's heating elements worked overtime, draining power faster than recommended. The distance markers on his helmet display counted down slowly. 200 meters, 100 meters, 50 meters. The Draconis transport loomed above him like a dead giant. The hull breach was large enough to walk through. Roth activated his helmet light and stepped inside. The cold hit differently inside the wreckage. Outside, the wind distributed the freeze evenly. Inside, it concentrated, pooled in corners, settled into metal, the kind of cold that killed slowly. Roth moved deeper into the ship. His breath came in controlled measures. Each exhalation created ice crystals that clinked against his helmet. The transport's interior was designed for beings much larger than humans. Doorways towered overhead. Corridors stretched wide enough for 3 people to walk side by side. He found them in what must have been the cargo hold. 6 Draconis warriors huddled together in the deepest corner of the bay. Massive bodies covered in scales that shimmered even in the dim light of his helmet lamp. Each one stood nearly 3 meters tall, built like walking mountains. Their wings, designed for volcanic worlds with thick atmospheres, lay folded uselessly against their backs. They were dying. Roth could see it in the way they moved, slow, weak. Their scales had lost their natural glow. Their breathing came in shallow gasps. Draconis were fire breathers, creatures of heat and flame. This frozen hell was killing them degree by degree. One of them lifted his head as Roth approached. Old scars marked his face. His eyes, normally bright with inner fire, were dim and unfocused. "Human," the warrior's voice came through a failing translator device. "Leave. This is not your death to share." Roth knelt beside the group. Up close, he could see frost forming on their scales. Their body heat, normally intense enough to warm entire rooms, had failed. They were freezing from the inside out. "How long have you been here?" Roth asked. 22 days, the old warrior said. His name badge identified him as Drask. "Engine failure, communications damaged. We sent the beacon but knew it was too weak, too late." "Your ship can't be repaired." Not from inside, not with our strength gone. The cold takes everything from us. Drask closed his eyes. You should leave. Your kind cannot survive this temperature long enough to help. We are already dead. Do not join us. Roth looked at the 6 warriors, 5 younger ones and Drask, all of them waiting for death with dignity, accepting their fate with the honor their culture demanded. It made sense by their logic. Warriors who failed their mission died with grace. But Roth was not Draconis. He was human, and humans had different rules about leaving people behind in the cold. I'll be back, Roth said. Drask opened his eyes. Human, listen to reason. You cannot save us. The mathematics do not work. We are too large, too heavy, too many. You will die trying. Maybe, Roth stood, but I'm going to try anyway. He turned and walked back toward the hull breach. Behind him, he heard one of the younger warriors speak in their native tongue. The translator caught fragments. Why would he, for strangers, makes no sense. Drask's response was quiet. I do not know, their species confuses me. Roth stepped back into the blizzard. The wind hit him like a physical force. He had maybe 6 hours before his suit's power gave out completely. 6 hours to figure out how to move 6 dying dragons across a frozen wasteland to his ship. The smart thing would be to leave, report the crash, let the authorities handle it. Roth started walking back to his cargo hauler. He had work to do. Nobody got left behind in the cold, not on his watch. Roth's cargo bay had never been meant for this. Crates of medical supplies lay scattered across the floor where he had thrown them. Power cells lined up in neat rows. Thermal blankets, meant for shipping delicate equipment, sat folded in stacks. Heating units pulled from every non-essential system on the ship. He packed everything into cargo sleds designed for planetary deliveries. Each sled could carry about 200 kilograms. He loaded 4 of them until they groaned under the weight. The second trip to the crash site was harder than the first. The sleds dragged through snow and ice, creating resistance that made every step burn. The blizzard had intensified, wind speeds that would have grounded any sane pilot. Roth kept moving. When he reached the Draconis transport again, the warriors had not moved. They watched him drag the sleds inside with expressions that mixed confusion and something else. Perhaps respect, perhaps pity for his foolishness. You returned, Drask said. His voice was weaker than before. Told you I would, Roth began unpacking the sleds. I need to assess your conditions. Who's hurt worst? One of the younger warriors, barely conscious, lay completely still. His scales had turned almost white with cold. The others at least showed some movement. Roth pulled out a medical scanner designed for multi-species use. The readings made his stomach sink. All 6 Draconis were in severe hypothermia. Their core temperatures had dropped to dangerous levels. Much lower and their organs would begin shutting down. Your friend here, Roth gestured to the unconscious warrior. What's his name? Torin, another warrior answered. He is the youngest, only his 2nd mission. Roth wrapped Torin in 3 thermal blankets. They looked absurdly small on the massive dragon's body, like putting bandages on a mountain. But every bit of insulation helped. I brought power cells and heating units, Roth said. I'm going to rig something to warm this space. It won't be comfortable, but it'll keep you alive. Why? The question came from a female warrior. Her scales were deep blue, now faded to gray. We are soldiers. You are civilian. This is not your responsibility. Roth connected power cells to portable heating units. Where I come from, we don't leave people to freeze. Doesn't matter if they're soldiers or civilians or anything else. He worked quickly, his engineering training taking over. The heating units were designed for small spaces, not massive cargo holds. He had to link 3 of them together to generate enough warmth. The power cells would drain fast, maybe give them 12 hours, but 12 hours was better than nothing. The units hummed to life. Weak heat began spreading through the hold. It was nowhere near what the Draconis needed, but it stopped the temperature from dropping further. This will hold for now, Roth said, but we need to get you to my ship. Can any of you walk? Drask tried to stand. His legs shook with effort. He made it halfway up before collapsing. The other conscious warriors attempted the same with similar results. Their strength was gone. "How far is your vessel?" Drask asked. 1 kilometer north." "Impossible, we cannot walk that distance, and you cannot carry us." Roth had already considered this problem during the walk back. The Draconis were right. Each warrior weighed close to 400 kilograms. Moving one would be difficult. Moving 6 was mathematically impossible by normal logic. "I can't carry you," Roth agreed, "but I can drag you." He explained his plan, using the cargo sleds and a pulley system rigged from his ship's loading. Cables, he could create a path through the ice. The Draconis could lie on the sleds while he winched them forward meter by meter. It would be slow, exhausting, possibly fatal for him. "That will take too long," Drask said. "Your suit power will fail, you will freeze." Probably, Roth started unloading more equipment from the sleds. "But it's the only chance we have, so we're taking it." The warriors looked at each other. Some unspoken communication passed between them. Finally, Drask spoke again. "In our culture, warriors who fail their missions die with honor. It is expected, natural, we accept this fate." "Well, I'm not Draconis," Roth said, "and I don't accept it." "You do not understand. We are trained for death, prepared for it. Your effort, while admirable, contradicts the natural order of things." Roth stopped working and looked directly at Drask. "On my world, Earth, we have a saying. The natural order of things is whatever we decide it is. We decided a long time ago that leaving people to die in the cold is wrong, so I'm here, and you're going to live." He returned to his work. Behind him, he heard the warriors speaking in their native language. The translator caught pieces. "Humans are strange. They come from a death world. Perhaps this behavior is survival instinct. Or madness. Perhaps both." Roth made 3 more trips to his ship over the next 6 hours. Each journey drained his suit power further. Each return brought more equipment, more blankets, more power cells, medical supplies that might help with hypothermia. On the 4th trip, his suit began showing critical warnings. Power at 15%, core temperature dropping, system failure imminent. He ignored the warnings and kept moving. When he returned to the wreckage after the final trip, Torin had regained consciousness. The young warrior looked at Roth with wide eyes. "You are still here," Torin's voice was barely a whisper. "Where else would I be? Gone safe, alive." Roth began rigging the pulley system. "I'll be alive when we get you to the ship, all of you." Drask watched him work. The old warrior's expression had changed. The acceptance of death was gone, replaced by something Roth could not quite identify, hope maybe, or disbelief. "If we survive this," Drask said slowly, "I do not know how my people will understand what you have done." "Don't worry about understanding it," Roth tested the first. Pulley, it held. "Just focus on staying alive long enough to see your people again." Outside, the blizzard raged harder. Inside the wreckage, a human worked to save 6 dragons from the cold. The impossible had become simply difficult, and difficult was something Roth could handle. Moving a 400-kilogram dragon across frozen ground turned out to be exactly as difficult as physics suggested. Roth had rigged the first sled with extra reinforcement, placed Torin on it, and begun the slow process of winching him toward the ship. Progress measured in meters felt like centimeters. The pulley system worked, but barely. Every few minutes, Roth had to stop and reset the anchor points. The ice beneath his feet cracked and shifted. His suit power dropped to 10%. Torin lay on the sled, conscious but weak. "Leave me, take the others first." "Not how this works," Roth grunted, pulling another length of cable. "We go together or not at all. I am the weakest, the least important. You're a person, that makes you important enough." The young warrior fell silent. Roth continued working, his muscles screaming in protest. The cold seeped through his suit's failing heating elements. His fingers had gone numb inside the gloves, but he kept moving the sled forward. 50 meters, 100 meters, 200 meters. Halfway to the ship, Roth's legs gave out. He collapsed face first into the snow, his suit power hitting 5%. Warning sirens blared in his helmet. Core temperature critical. System shut down in 10 minutes. Torin tried to rise from the sled. Human, Roth, you must go, save yourself. Roth pushed himself up on shaking arms. Not leaving you. This is foolish, you will die. Then I'll die trying, Roth got to his knees. Better than living knowing I quit. He forced himself to stand, his vision blurred from exhaustion and cold. The distance to his ship looked impossible now. His body wanted to stop, wanted to rest, wanted to sleep in the snow. Roth took another step forward. Then another. Then his suit power died completely. The heating elements shut down instantly. The cold hit like a wall of knives. Roth gasped, his breath freezing in his lungs. This was it. This was how it ended, frozen on an ice planet trying to save strangers. Movement behind him, heavy, slow. Drask emerged from the blizzard, dragging himself forward with his front claws. The old warrior's scales were covered in frost, his movements weak, but he was moving. Behind him, the other conscious warriors followed, each one pulling themselves through the snow with the last of their strength. "What are you doing?" Roth's voice came out as a croak. "You came for us in the cold," Drask reached him. "We will not let you die alone in it." The old dragon grabbed Roth with one massive claw, lifted him onto the sled beside Torin. Then he began pulling. The other warriors joined him, each one gripping the sled with whatever strength remained. Together, the Draconis dragged both the sled and the human toward the cargo ship. It took 2 hours, 2 hours of dragons forcing their frozen bodies to move, 2 hours of Roth drifting in and out of consciousness, 2 hours that should have killed them all. But somehow they reached the ship. Roth felt himself being carried up the loading ramp, heard the airlock cycling, felt the rush of warm air as the inner door opened. The Draconis piled into the cargo hold, their massive bodies filling the space completely. Someone placed Roth on the floor near a heating vent. The warmth felt like fire on his frozen skin. He wanted to sleep, needed to sleep. But the ship would not fly itself. Roth forced his eyes open, forced his frozen fingers to work. He crawled toward the cockpit, leaving the warriors in the hold. Every movement was agony. His body screamed for rest. He reached the pilot's chair and pulled himself into it. The control panel swam in his vision. He had flown this ship for 5 years, knew every button by muscle memory. His hands moved across the controls automatically. Engine startup sequence, power to thrusters, landing gear retraction, atmospheric escape protocols. The ship groaned under the weight of 6 Draconis. Warning lights flashed across every system. Maximum capacity exceeded, thruster efficiency at 60%, structural stress critical. Roth engaged the engines anyway. The cargo hauler lifted off the ice with all the grace of a wounded bird. It shook violently, metal protesting the impossible load. The thrusters screamed. The hull creaked. Every sensor said this ship should not be flying. But it flew. The blizzard tried to tear them from the sky. Winds that had nearly destroyed the ship during landing now fought to drag it back down. Roth fought the controls with hands he could barely feel, making constant adjustments to keep them airborne. Altitude 100 meters, 200 meters, 500 meters. The atmospheric boundary approached. This was the critical moment. If the ship failed now, they would fall and die, all of them. Roth pushed the engines to maximum. The ship bucked like a living thing, trying to shake itself apart. The hull temperature spiked. The thrusters began overheating. Warning klaxons added their voices to the chaos. 1,000 meters, 2,000 meters, 5,000 meters. The sky began to change from white to black. Stars appeared through the viewports. The buffeting decreased. The ship's sensors showed atmospheric pressure dropping. 10,000 meters, 15,000 meters, 20,000 meters. They broke orbit. The shaking stopped. The engines settled into a steady burn. The warnings began to quiet. They were in space. They were alive. Roth sat in the pilot's chair, staring at the stars through the viewport. His body was still frozen. His muscles still screamed. His suit was completely dead, but they had made it. Behind him, in the cargo hold, he heard one of the warriors speak. "Impossible, we should be dead." Drask's response was quiet but firm. "We should be, but humans do not accept should be, they make what is instead." Roth set course for the nearest Draconis station. 5 days' travel, he would need to ration everything carefully: food, water, heat, power. But they would make it. Because giving up was not an option. It had never been an option. Roth closed his eyes for just a moment, just to rest. When he opened them again, Drask stood in the cockpit doorway. The old warrior was still weak but standing. "You saved us," Drask said simply. "We saved each other," Roth replied. "You carried me when my suit died." "Only because you came for us first." Roth turned back to the controls. "That's what you do. You come for people in the cold." Drask was silent for a long moment. Then, "I am beginning to understand why your species survived their death world." "Yeah, why's that?" "Because you are all equally insane." Despite everything, Roth smiled. "That's probably fair." Day 1 in space brought new problems Roth had not fully considered. 6 Draconis warriors designed for volcanic worlds now occupied a cargo hold with heating meant for 1 human. The temperature balance was impossible. Too cold for the dragons, they would die. Too hot for the ship systems, everything would fail. Roth compromised at a temperature that satisfied nobody. The hold stayed just warm enough to keep the warriors from freezing again. The ship's cooling systems ran constantly to prevent overheating. Power consumption tripled. Food was the second problem. Draconis were carnivores, large carnivores. Roth's supplies consisted of protein bars, dried meals, and water. Enough for 1 person for 2 weeks. Not enough for 7 beings for 5 days. He divided everything into portions that would keep them alive but hungry. The warriors accepted their rations without complaint. They had survived 3 weeks of freezing. A few days of hunger was nothing. Water was rationed even more strictly. The ship's recycling systems had not been designed for this many users. Every drop had to be carefully managed. Showers were impossible. Drinking took priority over everything else. On day 2, the youngest warrior, Torin, developed a fever. His body, still recovering from severe hypothermia, began to fail. Roth had basic medical supplies, but nothing designed for Draconis physiology. He did what he could, monitored Torin's temperature, gave him extra water, kept him as comfortable as possible in the cramped hold. The other warriors took turns staying with him, speaking in their language, offering what comfort they could. Roth sat in the cockpit, watching the navigation display count down the distance to Forge Prime. 3 more days. Torin had to survive 3 more days. On day 3, the ship's main power coupling began to fail. The extra load from heating and life support had stressed systems beyond their limits. Roth spent 6 hours in the engineering crawl space, rerouting power and bypassing damaged circuits. His hands bled from cuts on sharp metal. His back screamed from working in tight spaces. But he got the power stable again, for now. That night, if night meant anything in space, Drask came to the cockpit. The old warrior moved slowly, still weak, but recovering faster than the others. "May I speak with you?" Drask asked. "Sure," Roth gestured to the empty space beside the pilot's chair. There was no co-pilot seat. Drask sat on the floor. "I have been thinking about your actions," Drask said. "Trying to understand them within my cultural framework, I cannot." "What do you mean?" "In Draconis culture, we value strength above all. Warriors who fail are allowed to die with honor. This is considered merciful, natural. It maintains the strength of our people." Roth said nothing, letting Drask continue. "You risked your life for strangers, for warriors who had already failed their mission. By our logic, we were not worth saving, yet you came anyway." "Different cultures," Roth said, "different values." Yes, but I wish to understand your values. You said humans come from a death world, Earth. Tell me about it. Roth considered the question, how to explain Earth to someone who grew up on volcanic paradise worlds. Earth is hard, he began. Extreme temperatures, dangerous weather, natural disasters, predators, diseases. Everything on the planet is trying to kill you in some way. Like a proving ground for warriors. Not exactly. On Earth, individual strength means nothing. One person alone cannot survive. Humans learned early that we needed each other. We hunted in groups, built shelters together, shared food during harsh winters. The strong helped the weak because someday the strong would be weak too. Drask absorbed this, so helping others is survival strategy. It started that way, but it became more than that. It became who we are. We help because leaving someone behind feels wrong, not logically wrong, morally wrong, deep in our core. Even strangers, even those who have failed. Especially those, because we know what it feels like to fail, to be weak, to need help. Every human has been there at some point. Drask was quiet for a long moment. This explains much about your species, why you are merchants and explorers rather than conquerors, why other species find you frustrating but trustworthy. We're not perfect, Roth said. Humans do terrible things to each other sometimes, but at our best we take care of each other, especially in the cold. The cold, Drask repeated. You use this word often. It means more than temperature to you. Yeah, the cold is anything that kills you slowly. Hunger, loneliness, despair, failure. We faced all of it on Earth, learned to fight it together. Drask stood, his movements still careful. Thank you for explaining. I understand better now why you came for us. He turned to leave, then paused. Roth, when we reach Forge Prime, my people will want to honor you, to repay this debt. I must warn you that Draconis take debts very seriously. I don't need payment, just get home safe. You misunderstand. This is not about payment, this is about honor, about bonds that cannot be broken. You are Fire Brother now, whether you accept the title or not. Roth had no idea what that meant, but Drask's tone suggested it was significant. On day 4, Tauren's fever broke. The young warrior woke up clear-headed for the first time since the rescue. He looked around the cramped cargo hold, at his fellow warriors, at the human ship that was carrying them home. We are alive, he said, wonder in his voice. Yes, another warrior answered, because of the human. I want to thank him. He is resting, do not disturb him yet. But Roth was not resting. He was in the cockpit, watching the sensors, adjusting course, managing power distribution, making sure they would reach Forge Prime, making sure all 6 warriors would see their home again. On day 5, the Draconis station appeared on the long-range sensors. Forge Prime, a massive military installation orbiting a red giant star, home to thousands of Draconis warriors. Roth opened a communication channel. Forge Prime Control, this is cargo hauler designation Delta 73 requesting docking clearance. The response came quickly. Delta 73, state your business. Returning 6 of your warriors, survivors from the crash on Glacium 7. Long silence on the other end. Then, Delta 73, please repeat. Did you say survivors from Glacium 7? Confirmed, 6 Draconis military personnel, alive and recovering. Another pause. Delta 73, you are cleared for priority docking. Base 7, emergency medical teams will be standing by. Acknowledged. Roth guided the ship toward the station. In the cargo hold, the warriors prepared themselves, straightening their uniforms as best they could, helping each other stand with dignity despite their weakness. Drask came to the cockpit one last time. We are almost home, thanks to you. Thanks to all of us, Roth corrected. You guys carried me when I fell, we saved each other. Perhaps, but you came first, that matters. The ship docked with a gentle thud. The airlock cycled, medical teams rushed aboard. And 6 warriors who should have died in the cold stepped into the light of their home station. Alive. Chaos erupted on Forge Prime when the 6 warriors emerged from the cargo ship. Medical teams surrounded them immediately, scanners and equipment appearing from all directions. Station personnel stood in shocked silence. These warriors had been declared dead weeks ago. Memorial services had been held. Families had mourned. Now they walked among the living again. Roth stayed in his ship, watching through the viewport. He had no place in that reunion. His job was done. The warriors were home and safe. He could refuel, resupply, and get back to his shipping routes. A Draconis military commander entered the docking bay. Her scales were deep crimson, marked with golden rank insignias. She spoke briefly with Drask, who pointed toward Roth's ship. The commander approached the cargo hauler. Roth opened the airlock. "I am Commander Esrel," she said. Her translator rendered her voice as formal and precise. "You are the human who returned my warriors." "Just doing what anyone would do." "Anyone would not. Glacium 7 is a death world. Rescue attempts there have a 97% failure rate. You should not have survived." Roth shrugged. "Got lucky." Luck does not drag 6 dying warriors across frozen wasteland. Luck does not keep them alive for 5 days on a ship designed for 1. Luck does not risk death for strangers. She studied him with eyes that saw too much. "Drask has filed a full report. He says you refused to abandon them despite logic, despite mathematics, despite survival instinct. They needed help." "Yes, and you provided it when no one else would. The distress beacon was registered by 17 other ships. 17 ships that chose not to investigate. You were the only one who came." That information settled heavy in Roth's chest. 17 ships, 17 chances for rescue, and only 1 human cargo hauler stopped. "I don't know what to say to that." "You need say nothing, but my people wish to honor you. We have prepared compensation, credits sufficient to buy a new ship, medals of valor, formal recognition in our military records." "I don't need any of that." Commander Esrel's expression shifted to something like frustration. "You do not understand. Draconis culture requires balance. Debts must be paid. Honor must be satisfied. You saved 6 warriors. This creates obligation." "They don't owe me anything. They're alive, that's enough." "It is not enough for them. Drask has declared you Fire Brother. Do you understand what this means?" "No." "Fire Brother is the highest bond in our culture. Higher than family, higher than military rank. It means you brought them from death to life, from cold to flame. This bond is eternal and absolute." Roth rubbed his tired eyes. "I just wanted to help them. I didn't want to create some eternal bond thing." "Nevertheless, it exists. The 6 warriors you saved will consider themselves bound to you for the rest of their lives. They will come if you call. They will fight for you, die for you if necessary. This cannot be undone." "That's not what I wanted." "What you wanted is irrelevant. What you did is everything." Commander Esrel handed him a data chip. "This contains payment for your services, also communication codes for direct contact with the warriors. They will wish to speak with you regularly, to ensure you are well, to offer assistance if needed." "This is too much." "It is too little, but it is what we can offer." She turned to leave, then paused. "You have changed how my people see humans. We thought your kind were soft, weak, merchants without warrior spirit. Drask's report will circulate throughout our military. They will know what you did. They will know what humans are capable of." After she left, Roth sat in his cockpit for a long time. The data chip felt heavy in his hand. He had just wanted to save some people. Now he had eternal bonds and cultural obligations he did not understand. Drask appeared at the airlock hours later. The old warrior had been treated by medical staff. His scales gleamed with restored health. His eyes burned with their natural fire again. "May I enter?" "Of course." Drask settled onto the cargo hold floor. He looked around the cramped space where 6 warriors had huddled for 5 days. "This ship saved our lives," he said quietly. "I will remember every detail. The sound of the engines, the smell of recycled air, the feel of metal beneath our bodies. It's just a cargo hauler. No, it is the vessel that carried us from death. That makes it sacred. Roth did not know how to respond to that. I must ask you something, Drask continued. Commander Esrel told you about Fire Brother Bond. You are uncomfortable with this. I don't want people feeling like they owe me their lives. That is not how we see it. Fire Brother is not debt. It is recognition of shared survival. We carried you when you fell. You carried us when we could not move. We survived together. This creates bond beyond mere obligation. On Earth, we just call that teamwork. Perhaps that is why humans succeed where others fail. You make teamwork sacred without naming it so. Drask stood, his movements now strong and steady. I will not force my culture upon you, but know this, if you ever need help, you have 6 Draconis warriors who will come, not because they must, because they choose to. He placed something on the floor, a small metal medallion engraved with symbols Roth did not recognize. Fire Brother Mark, if you ever need us, show this to any Draconis military personnel. They will contact us immediately. Drask, I can't. You can, you will, because someday you may need help, and when that day comes, we will be the ones who do not abandon you in the cold. The old warrior left. Roth picked up the medallion. It was warm to the touch, heated by Draconis hands. He attached it to his keychain, not because he planned to use it, but because refusing felt wrong somehow. 3 days later, Roth left Forge Prime with a full fuel tank, restocked supplies, and more credits than he had earned in 5 years of cargo runs. The 6 warriors stood at the viewport, watching him depart. Drask raised one claw in salute, the others followed. Roth returned the gesture and turned his ship toward the shipping lanes. He had deliveries to make, medical supplies still waiting on Haven's Rest, bills to pay, a normal life to return to. But something had changed. He could feel it in the weight of the medallion on his keychain, in the communication codes stored in his ship's database. He was not just Roth the cargo hauler anymore. He was Fire Brother. Whatever that meant, he would figure it out as he went. 6 months changed everything and nothing. Roth returned to his cargo routes, delivering supplies to colonies and stations across the Outer Rim. The credits from Forge Prime sat in his account, mostly untouched. The Fire Brother medallion hung from his keychain, a constant reminder of things he still did not fully understand. He received messages from the warriors occasionally, brief updates, questions about his well-being, offers of assistance he politely declined. They were recovering well. Torin had been promoted. Drask was training new recruits. Life continued for everyone. Roth tried not to think about the bond too much. He had saved some people. They were grateful. That was enough. Then came the raiders. The attack happened in deep space, 3 days from the nearest station. Roth was hauling construction equipment to a mining colony, when 3 ships dropped out of FTL around him. No identification, no communication, just weapons charging. Pirates were common in the Outer Rim. Most cargo haulers paid protection fees to avoid trouble. Roth had always refused. He would not fund criminals. Now he was paying for that decision. Unknown vessel, cut your engines and prepare to be boarded, the lead raider ship broadcasted. Resist and we will destroy you. Roth's cargo hauler was unarmed. No weapons. No shields worth mentioning, just engines and cargo space. He could not fight, could not run. 3 raiders against 1 civilian ship. He was about to lose everything. His hand moved to the communication panel, found the coded channel stored 6 months ago, the one he never planned to use. He activated it. This is Roth to any Draconis military vessels in range. I am under attack by raiders, coordinates attached. I am requesting assistance. Static answered him. The raiders were jamming standard frequencies, but this was a military channel, encrypted, priority coded. The lead raider ship moved closer. Last warning, cut engines now. Roth complied, no point in being destroyed for nothing. His engines went dark. The raiders began approach patterns for boarding. He waited in the cockpit, watching 3 ships prepare to steal his cargo and probably kill him. This was how it ended, not frozen on an ice planet, but floating dead in space. Then the space beside his ship tore open. A Draconis warship emerged from FTL so close that Roth's sensors screamed collision warnings. The massive vessel displaced enough space to send his cargo hauler spinning. It was 3 times the size of the raider ships, armed with enough weapons to level a small moon. The warship's weapons locked onto all 3 raiders simultaneously. "This is Draconis military vessel fires retribution," Drask's voice came across all frequencies. "You are targeting our fire brother. You have 5 seconds to withdraw before we destroy you." The raiders did not wait 5 seconds. They jumped to FTL immediately, abandoning the attack entirely. Fire's retribution moved closer to Roth's ship. Drask's face appeared on the communication screen. The old warrior looked exactly as Roth remembered, scarred, serious, alive. "Fire brother, are you harmed?" Roth found his voice. "How did you get here so fast? I just sent the signal." "We have been tracking your position for 6 months. When your signal came, we were 2 hours away. We pushed engines to maximum. You've been tracking me for 6 months. Of course, Fire Brother does not abandon Fire Brother. We maintain awareness of your location always." The other 5 warriors appeared on screen behind Drask. Torin looked healthy and strong. The others showed pride in their expressions. "You came," Roth said. "You actually came. Did you doubt we would?" "I don't know, maybe. This seems like a lot of trouble for one cargo hauler." Drask's expression shifted to something like amusement. "You still do not understand. When you came for us on Glacium 7, you were one cargo hauler risking everything for 6 strangers. Now we are 6 warriors protecting one fire brother. The mathematics are the same." Understanding finally hit Roth. This was what fire brother meant. This was the bond he had created without meaning to, not obligation, not debt, but the same principle he had shown them on that frozen planet. "You come for people in the cold, always." "Thank you," Roth said quietly. "We will escort you to your destination," Drask announced. "Then return to patrol. But know this, we have spread word throughout Draconis military. All warriors know the story of the human who came for us in the ice. If you ever signal for help again, you will not get 1 warship. You will get dozens." "That's not necessary." "It is absolutely necessary. You showed us what humans are capable of. Now we show you what Draconis are capable of. This is how bonds work." Fire's retribution took position beside the cargo hauler. The warship's massive hull dwarfed Roth's vessel. He had never felt safer in his life. They traveled together for 3 days. During breaks, Roth and the warriors talked about the rescue, about what happened after, about how 6 warriors had changed an entire military culture's view of humans. "You are legend now," Torin said during one conversation. "Young warriors ask about you in training. They want to know about the human who does not accept death, who fights the cold itself." "I just helped some people." "You did more than help. You showed us a different way of being strong, not through accepting death, but through refusing to accept it for others." On the 3rd day, they reached the mining colony. Roth delivered his cargo. Fire's retribution prepared to depart. Drask appeared on screen one final time. "Until we meet again." "Fire brother, stay safe out there. We are warriors. Safety is not our concern, but we will stay alive, because you taught us that survival together is better than honorable death alone." The warship jumped to FTL, leaving Roth alone in space once more. But not really alone, never alone again. He looked at the medallion hanging from his keychain, understood it now, not a burden, not an obligation, but a promise. "You come for people in the cold, and they come for you." That was Fire Brother, that was the bond, that was what it meant to be human among the stars. Roth set course for his next delivery. Whatever came next, whatever dangers waited in the darkness between stars, he faced them knowing the truth. Nobody gets left behind in the cold, not on his watch, not on theirs. That was the deal, that was the bond. That was enough.